look at Afghanistan. Well, the U.S. has convinced the U.S. public that Afghanistan was a war to stop Soviet aggression. In fact, the Afghan government was a left military government that took over against the rightist government that was purging the left. And then it found itself under siege from Pakistan, from surrogate forces from Pakistan and from the CIA, and moved into Afghanistan. That government was targeted. That government was doing unacceptable things. That government was doing what the Torrijos government in Panama had been doing, what the New Jewel government in Grenada had been doing, what the Sandinista government in Nicaragua had been doing, what today the Hugo Chavez government in Venezuela is trying to do. That government was indulging in land reform, putting in minimum wage laws, legalized labor unions in Afghanistan, put up public education programs for boys and girls, which was an unusual thing, and the like. That was the Soviet-supported government. The Soviets came in after repeated requests by that left military, and then came this very ugly war. That government was doing what the United States leaders will not tolerate anywhere. They will not tolerate any government in the world that is attempting an alternative system outside of the globalization process, outside of that system of U.S. multinational, transnational, global finance capitalism. Outside, even another capitalist country that's trying economic nationalism and developing itself on its own terms, even that will no longer be tolerated. That was tolerated. When there was a Soviet Union, that was tolerated. When there was a Soviet Union, Yugoslavia was tolerated. It was a country that was a buffer against the Soviets. It was independent of the Soviets, often critical of them, but it also was socialist. With the overthrow of the Soviet Union, the ruling interests in Western capitalism have come to certain realizations. We don't have to make any kind of social contract with our own working class anymore. We don't have to turn to you and say, you see how much better you live than the people over in Russia? We don't have to say that anymore. We won. We're rolling back in Russia. In fact, after the overthrow of the Soviet Union, there was a very querulous note that began to appear in many right-wing publications. It went as follows. If now in the former communist countries we're having total free market deregulation and takeover and privatization, why must we still tolerate here in our own countries, why must we still tolerate social programs and public ownership and regulation and the like? We don't have to tolerate that anymore. And you workers, you can forget about lifelong seniority or job security, whatever else. You got nowhere else to go. You can go turn any color you want, red, pink, whatever else, but there's no Soviet menace anymore there. You don't have a base. You don't have a global base anymore. And they could turn to the third world countries that they were giving aid to and saying, we're going to build you up and build a prosperous middle class and make you a little bit more like Western Europe or North America so that you will not be tempted to go communist, and which means go socialist. Want to keep you capitalist, but a kind of a capitalism with a human face. Well, capitalism with a human face is now capitalism in your face. And they don't have to do that anymore. They don't have to tolerate even a right-wing nationalist country that has any kind of economic nationalism. Let's take Iraq. Now, here's a hidden fact about Iraq. This is a secret fact. It's a secret in America. It's a secret on the U.S. media. It's a secret in all the pundit talk shows. It's a secret among our national official leaders. It's never mentioned. But Saddam Hussein was put in power in Iraq by the CIA. He was sponsored by the U.S. His task was to stop the Iraqi democratic revolution. And he did that. He destroyed the Kurdish Democratic Party. He destroyed the Iraqi Communist Party, which was a reformist coalition party, coalition building party. He even slaughtered and executed the left wing of his own Ba'athist party. He was Washington's boy. They loved him. They gave him aid. They built those chemical and bacteriological factories that he had in Iraq. That's another secret that you're not told. It was the U.S. that not only knew about this C&B warfare, that's come out in the press. It seems certain U.S. leaders knew that Saddam Hussein had chemical and bacteriological weaponry during the Iraq-Iran war. They knew about it. Of course they knew about it. They gave it to him. They gave him the technology. That's another secret that's never told. So he was Washington's baby boy. They loved him. Fair-haired boy. Until he got out of line on oil prices, until he started showing himself to be an economic nationalist. He didn't turn Iraq into a comprador client state and say, come on in, boys, it's all yours, take it, any terms you want, pay them any wages you want, don't worry about anything, no public services, none of that stuff, you take what you want on the terms that are totally favorable to you, just make sure you give me something. He didn't do what leaders did in Turkey and other parts of Africa and Latin America and whatever else. Instead, he became an economic nationalist. He started public education programs. He started public health services. Iraq, before 1991, had the highest standard of living in the Middle East. That was destroyed by a president named George Bush, George the First.